Mr. Speaker, it's easy to stand up in Parliament, as Chris Hipkins just did and has done for 2.5 years, and say, things are expensive, things aren't getting better, life is hard. That is true. It's true for many people. It's easy to say that. It's harder to acknowledge why that is the case and also, frankly, take some responsibility for why things are where they are, because inflation now and affordability concerns for Kiwis now did not materialise out of thin air in the last 2 years. They are as a result of years of mismanagement by the previous government. Economic effects have lag effects. It's hard to acknowledge that. It's even harder, as the Labour Party is finding at the moment, to actually come up with policies to deal with the complaints that they have. What is the answer ultimately to affordability, to the cost of living, and to our standard of living as New Zealanders? Well, there's kind of two tracks. One is what I call sugar hit economics, which is handouts that feel good at the time, but don't actually deal with the underlying issues. The cost of living payment was an example of this. People will remember the 2022 budget. Money handed out to dead people, French backpackers, investment bankers in London who still had a New Zealand tax residency. Bit of extra lolly to get through the winter on the way to the election. We had the fuel tax cuts that were firstly meant to be temporary for 3 months, then they went to 6 months, then they went to 9 months, then they went to 12 months. Yeah, sure, cut the price of petrol for a bit, but the expense was higher debt, and ultimately that we all are paying for now, or have paid for through higher interest rates and higher inflation. So you can have sugar hit policies, they make you feel good for a while, but they don't actually deal with the issues. That's one path. The second path is the path that this government is taking, which is harder, involves courage, involves boldness, involves tough decisions, involves actually weighing up trade-offs, involves actually being honest and upfront with New Zealanders that we can't do everything all at the same time, and that actually dealing with the structural issues in the New Zealand economy will take time and take action, take courage and take action. That's why planning reform, multi-generational, multi-year, once in a generation, comprehensive reform to lift our living standards is so important. That's why the work that Erica Stanford is doing in education, it's not a sugar hit. Actually, that is going to take year after year of sustained effort to lift our education standards, which will have flow-on effects to the 2030s and beyond. That's why the work that Chris Penk is doing in building and construction is important. Sorting out our earthquake-prone building legislation is not a sugar hit. It's complicated, it's difficult, it's the right thing to do. Likewise, sorting out the liability issues, joint and several liability, that successive governments have put in the too hard basket for 30 years is so important. That's why the work that Louise Upson is doing across our welfare system, making sure that the system is a hand up, not a hand out, is so important. Again, not a sugar hit, not easy, multi-year, long-term, sustained reform. That is the answer to our productivity challenge. Because the answer, the honest truth is that we are nowhere near as wealthy as a country as we think we are. The honest truth is that our productivity rates are on a par with countries that experienced 40 years of communism. The Czech Republic, Slovakia, Lithuania. As a small country of 5 million people at the bottom of the world, we need to be more nimble and more agile, and we need to take bolder action than other countries that have the luxury of natural resources or the luxury of hundreds of millions of people on their market next to them. We don't have that luxury. But what do we have? We have cheap and abundant renewable energy. We have the best people in the world, the smartest people in the world, and we've got some work to do, but by God, we've got the right opportunities. If you go to the Labour Party website right now, I don't suggest you do, but if you do, you will find 5 policies. I've done the math, Mr. Speaker, on the policies. There's 5 of them. 4 of them are actually about the doctor's visits. There are 23 photos across 3 policy documents. They mention the word tax 66 times. But here's a number, Mr. Speaker. Here's the number of actual policy ideas to deal with the underlying issues in the New Zealand economy. Here's the number. 0.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
They are taking the public for fools at the moment. This government has the long-term answers for New Zealand's future.